Eddies and Gante men, let me ask you something. What if I told you that in just 1 week you could become unrecognizable? Not in appearance, but in discipline, energy, focus, and mindset? No, I'm not talking about magic tricks or overnight gimmicks. I'm talking about the power of extreme intentional effort. I'm talking about shaking your habits so hard that the version of you that existed last week no longer stands a chance next to the person you are becoming. Becoming unrecognizable in 1 week means becoming so focused that distractions lose their power. It means putting your phone down, waking up earlier, moving your body, sharpening your mind, and feeding your soul. About doing in 7 days what most people put off for 7 years. Change doesn't take forever. It takes decision. It takes intensity. It takes belief. And it takes daily, uncomfortable, consistent action. This week, to shocking yourself. Read the book. Do the workout. Say no to the junk. Say yes to the discipline. Chase discomfort like your life depends on it. Because your future self is begging for you to level up. Forget the old you. Become someone you wouldn't even recognize in 1 week. You won't just feel different, you'll be different. Every breakthrough in life, every real, lasting transformation starts with one powerful thing, a decision. Not a wish, not a vague hope, not a New Year's resolution that fades by February. A real decision is backed by intention and action. It's the moment when you draw a line in the sand and say, enough is enough. I'm done living at 40%, 60%, or even 90%. I'm ready to operate at 100%. Decisions are what separate those who try from those who become. And the beauty of it is, you don't need perfect conditions. You don't need permission. You don't need to have everything figured out. All you need is a willingness to change and the courage to back that up with action. Making the decision to become unrecognizable means you're tired of the same excuses, the same patterns, the same outcomes. It means you're choosing discomfort over complacency, progress over perfection, and growth over fear. It means you are no longer willing to settle for the current version of yourself, no matter how familiar or safe it feels. Think about any moment of change in your life. It didn't start when you got a new job, lost weight, or finally finished that project. It started when you decided to do something different. Outer world changed only because the inner world shifted first. That shift, that moment of mental commitment, is the real starting line. And here's the key: the decision doesn't have to be loud, doesn't require a dramatic announcement or a viral post. Sometimes the most powerful decision is made quietly, in the middle of the night or in the silence of a morning when you're just sick of your own patterns. You simply say to yourself, I'm done being who I've been. I'm ready to become who I'm meant to be. From that moment on, everything changes. The decision creates a ripple effect. It alters how you think, what you focus on, what you tolerate, and what you pursue. It forces you to level up, to cut the noise, and to commit fully, even when it gets uncomfortable, even when nobody's watching. The decision is the match. Everything else, the habits, discipline, the progress, that's the fire. But the fire can't start unless you strike that match. We often underestimate just how much can change in a short period of time when we apply total focus and intentional intensity. 7 days might seem like a drop in the ocean compared to a lifetime, but it's amazing what can happen when you stop coasting and start showing up with purpose every single day. Think about this. Most people drift through their days repeating the same routines, responding to the same distractions and living on autopilot. They convince themselves that change takes forever, that improvement is this slow, gradual thing that only happens over years. And while long-term growth does require time and consistency, the truth is that identity, the way you see yourself and carry yourself, can begin to shift rapidly when you go all in, even for just 1 week. 1 week of waking up with clarity. 1 week of pushing your limits in the gym, on the job, in your studies. 1 week of saying no to your usual distractions and yes to everything that makes you better. 1 week of treating your goals like they're non-negotiable. That kind of momentum builds fast, and with each day you honor that commitment, something inside you starts to change. You begin to act differently. Think differently. And soon, others notice it too. You walk into a room and you carry a new energy, a sharper presence, a clearer purpose. Start replacing the identity of the person who tries with the person who executes. You're no longer someone who plans to get disciplined. You are disciplined. You're not someone who wants change. You embody change. Why? Because your habits are forming a new story. Your actions are casting votes for the person you want to become. And in just 7 days of locked in focus, you can accumulate more positive momentum than most people build in months of half effort. It doesn't require perfection. It requires intensity. It requires structure. Requires you to set boundaries with the world and with yourself. To say, this week, I'm not playing small. This week, I'm done negotiating with my excuses. The secret is in the compound effect of 7 intentional, effort, purpose-driven days. You begin to prove to yourself that you're capable of more than you thought. You realize how much of your potential has been waiting behind the door of distraction, laziness, or fear. And once you taste that kind of growth, you'll never want to go back to ordinary. 7 days can reshape your identity because identity isn't fixed. It's fluid. It's built, refined, and defined by what you consistently do. And if what you do in 1 week is radically different from what you used to tolerate, you begin to disconnect from the person you were and step fully into the person you're becoming. If you're relying on motivation to change your life, you're already at a disadvantage. Motivation is fleeting. It's like the weather. Unpredictable, unreliable, and often missing when you need it the most. One day you're fired up, energized, and ready to conquer everything. The next day, you wake up tired, discouraged, or simply uninterested. That's human. But that's exactly why you need to stop depending on motivation and start building discipline. Discipline is different. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel. Discipline doesn't need hype. Discipline doesn't wait for the perfect moment. Discipline shows up whether it's raining or sunny, whether you're tired or rested, whether you're excited or uninspired. The internal engine that keeps you moving forward when every excuse is screaming for your attention. We live in a world that's obsessed with feeling good. We're told to follow our passions, wait until we're ready, and only act when we're inspired. But the people who actually make change happen, who rise above the average, are the ones who do what needs to be done regardless of how they feel. The true power of discipline, it liberates you from the trap of emotion-based action. When you commit to becoming unrecognizable in a week, you can't afford to rely on motivation. You need structure. You need systems. You need rituals. You need to build a daily framework that keeps you anchored in your goals even when your feelings try to pull you in a different direction. Discipline is getting up early even when your bed feels warm and comforting. Hitting the gym when no one's watching. Finishing your reading or writing or work tasks without negotiating for just one more scroll. It's saying no to temptations that derail your progress and yes to the quiet grind that builds your strength. Over time, discipline reprograms your brain. It builds trust with yourself. Every time you follow through on a commitment, even when it's hard, you cast a vote for a stronger identity. You reinforce the belief that you are capable, focused, and in control. That's how change becomes real, not because you felt like it, but because you chose to do it anyway. The secret is to stop waiting and start working. Don't chase motivation. Chase structure. Build a schedule that removes the guesswork. Create routines that make success the default, not the exception. And when the excitement fades, as it always does, lean on your discipline. That's where your power is. Discipline is what gets you through the days when motivation disappears. And those are the days that define you. Growth never happens in comfort. It's forged in the fire of effort, resistance, and deliberate discomfort. The truth is, you want to become unrecognizable in a week. You must intentionally seek out discomfort every single day. Why? Because comfort is the silent killer of progress. It lulls you into stagnation, into routines that feel safe, but ultimately keep you stuck exactly where you are. Discomfort is not your enemy. It's your guide. It's the signal that you're stepping outside your limits. The proof that you're doing something new, something bold, something that stretches who you are into who you could be. And that's where real, lasting change begins. Think about this. Every major breakthrough in your life likely came after a period of challenge. Whether it was a difficult workout, a tough conversation, a risky decision, or a moment of emotional vulnerability, it probably didn't feel good in the moment. But it made you stronger. It shaped your character. It taught you something you couldn't have learned from comfort. Daily discomfort means making the hard choices, waking up early when your body screams to stay in bed, lifting heavier weights when your muscles are already burning, putting in the extra reps when nobody's watching, sitting down to work when you'd rather relax, choosing the salad over the fries, having the tough talk instead of avoiding it. It's pushing your body, mind, and spirit into territory where growth lives. Not just about physical discomfort. It's about mental and emotional resistance too. Reading when you'd rather be entertained. Writing or creating when self-doubt creeps in. Sitting with your thoughts instead of numbing them with distractions. These moments are uncomfortable, but they are the exact moments where transformation is born. The more you train yourself to lean into discomfort, the more resilient you become. What once felt hard starts to feel normal. What was once your ceiling becomes your new floor. And every time you choose discomfort, you expand your capacity. You build grit. You increase your tolerance for effort, challenge, and pressure. That's how you level up. This doesn't mean burning yourself out or being reckless. It means being deliberate. It means placing yourself every day, situations that force you to stretch, just enough to grow, but not so much that you break. Over time, this repeated exposure to discomfort rewires your brain to seek growth, to welcome resistance, to crave the edge instead of avoiding it. And here's the kicker: discomfort builds confidence. Because when you consistently do the hard things, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than your excuses, tougher than your doubts, and more capable than you believed. You start to trust your own power. You start to realize that everything you want is just beyond the limits of your comfort zone. When it comes to transformation, real, lasting transformation, it's not motivation, luck, or talent that builds the future you want. It's habits. Your life, as it stands right now, is the sum total of your daily actions, routines, and decisions. In other words, your habits have built your current identity, and they will either lock you into the person you've been or launch you into the person you're becoming. Habits are powerful because they run in the background. Once formed, they require little conscious effort. That's why they're so dangerous when negative and so life-changing when positive. You brush your teeth without thinking. You check your phone without noticing. You grab unhealthy snacks on autopilot. Likewise, you can train yourself to journal, read, train, reflect, and grind daily without needing to debate it every time. If you want to become unrecognizable in 1 week, fastest way to begin is by designing your habits to reflect the identity you want to adopt. Ask yourself, how does a focused person start their day? What does a disciplined person do with their free time? How does a high performer eat, think, speak, and move? Then start building those patterns into your days, no matter how small they seem. The real power of habit lies in its compounding effect. A small shift repeated consistently becomes a massive change over time. Even in 1 week, if you lock into intentional, positive habits, waking up early, drinking more water, cutting sugar, journaling your thoughts, committing to daily learning, you begin to rewire your brain and body. Aren't just tasks, they are identity, shaping rituals. It's not about doing something big once. It's about doing something small consistently. The gym session that happens every day matters more than the one-time 3-hour workout. Reading 10 pages daily matters more than binge watching a motivational video once. Discipline in daily habits compounds, and that compound interest is where success is born. Most people never experience lasting change because they overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a week of consistent action. They burn out trying to overhaul their entire life overnight instead of focusing on 1 or 2 habits they can repeat no matter what. But those small, foundational actions are what stabilize your mindset, focus your energy, and make success inevitable. Here's the thing: habits remove friction. When you've built strong habits, you don't waste energy deciding whether or not to do the right thing. It just becomes what you do. It becomes who you are. When change becomes effortless, not because it's easy, but because it's ingrained. So if you want to become unrecognizable, don't chase the grand gesture. Master the small behaviors. Track them. Reinforce them. Show up for them even when you're tired, unmotivated, or distracted, because that's what builds the new version of you. Not in theory, but in practice. A deep and often underestimated connection between the body and the mind. We tend to treat them as separate domains. Physical health over here, mental focus over there. But in reality, they are intimately intertwined. If you want sharper focus, emotional control, better decisions, and unshakable drive, you need to start with your body. Physical discipline is the doorway to mental clarity. When your body is neglected, everything else suffers. Your energy dips, your mood fluctuates, your confidence shrinks, and your ability to concentrate fades. But when you move with purpose, when you sweat, when you eat clean, when you rest intentionally, your mind follows suit. Clarity isn't just a result of meditation or mindset work. It's built through motion, effort, and physical challenge. Exercise, for example, does far more than sculpt muscles or burn calories. It increases blood flow to the brain, enhances cognitive function, reduces anxiety, and improves mood. It teaches you how to deal with discomfort, how to push through resistance, and how to silence the mental noise that says, I can't. It's not just training for your body, it's training for your mind. Every drop of sweat is a signal to your brain, I'm in control. Every completed workout is a psychological win, reinforcing discipline, structure, and resilience. And that builds momentum across every other area of life. The discipline you cultivate physically spills over into your ability to focus during work, stay calm under pressure, and follow through on goals. Nutrition plays a role too. What you eat literally fuels your brain. A diet of processed foods, sugar spikes, and energy crashes doesn't just affect your waistline. It clouds your thinking, weakens your willpower, flames your nervous system. Clean, intentional eating sharpens your clarity. It's not about being obsessive. It's about understanding that what you put into your body affects what comes out of your mind. Sleep, the often ignored pillar of discipline. Proper rest isn't lazy. It's strategic. Without quality sleep, your decision-making falters, your mood soars, and your drive collapses. Includes knowing when to stop, when to recover, and how to treat rest as fuel for greater output, not an escape from work. When your body is in alignment, hydrated, active, nourished, and rested, your mind becomes a weapon. You think faster. You react better. You plan with more precision. You stay calm in chaos. You create with energy and execute with consistency. That's the mental edge people are searching for, and it begins with honoring your physical self. If you want to become unrecognizable in a week, start by reclaiming your physical discipline. Set a training schedule and stick to it. Clean up your diet, not for vanity, but for vitality. Hydrate like it's a daily ritual. Sleep like your mind depends on it, because it does. Use your body as the foundation for mental excellence. The stronger your body, the clearer your mind. In today's world, we are constantly surrounded by noise, notifications, messages, social media feeds, opinions, distractions, and endless digital chatter. It's non-stop. And if you're not intentional about protecting your mental environment, you'll find yourself consumed by it, reacting instead of creating, comparing instead of building, scrolling instead of growing. If you want to become unrecognizable in just 1 week, you must do something bold. Cut the noise and control your environment like your life depends on it. Because it does. Your environment isn't just the physical space around you. It's the information you consume, the people you surround yourself with, the habits you allow, and the energy you tolerate. It's every subtle influence that shapes your focus, mood, behavior, and ultimately your identity. You cannot create radical transformation while living in the same chaos that built the old you. Start with your digital environment. Look at your screen time. How much of your day is spent on apps that bring no value, drain your energy, or fill your mind with comparison and anxiety? Social media has its place, but during a season of growth, especially a focused 1-week sprint, it becomes a distraction disguised as connection. Every scroll is time stolen from your goals. Every notification is a pull away from your purpose. Turn off the noise. Log out. Delete apps if you must. Give yourself space to hear your own thoughts again. Now, look at the people in your life. Are they fueling your growth or feeding your comfort? Are they challenging you or coddling you? Are they pushing you forward or holding you back? During this week of transformation, you don't need approval. You need alignment. You need people who respect your grind, who understand your goals, and who won't guilt trip you for choosing growth over leisure. If they don't understand now, they'll understand when they see the results. But until then, protect your space. Your physical environment matters too. Clutter creates chaos. A messy room, a disorganized workspace, or a chaotic daily schedule can drain your mental energy. Create spaces that inspire focus, calm, and clarity. Clean your surroundings. Structure your day. Keep your tools, books, journals, workout gear, meals within easy reach, and eliminate what doesn't serve you. And most importantly, protect your mental environment. Your thoughts shape your reality. You have to guard your mind like it's sacred, because it is. Don't allow doubt, fear, negativity, or judgment to take up space rent-free. Monitor your self-talk. Choose the thoughts that empower you. Consume content that educates, elevates. Feed your mind with the kind of fuel that lights your fire, not dims your spirit. This level of environmental control isn't obsessive, it's strategic. Because here's the truth, you don't take control of your environment, it will take control of you. And the version of you who becomes unrecognizable isn't just someone who works harder. It's someone who lives with more clarity, more control, and more intention. That starts with the space you create around you. Change your environment, and you change your results. Clean out the noise, and you'll finally hear your own voice. One of the most overlooked and underestimated tools of transformation is language. Specifically, the words you speak to yourself and about yourself. Your internal dialogue is the narrative that either limits you or liberates you. You want to become unrecognizable in 1 week, you have to start speaking and thinking like the person you want to be, not the person you've been. You see, most people unconsciously reinforce their limitations with their language. Say things like, I've never been good at that, or I always quit after a few days, or I don't have enough discipline. Every time you speak like that, you're giving power to the old version of yourself, strengthening a story that keeps you stuck. You're affirming the identity you're trying to outgrow. But transformation begins in the mind, and the mind listens to language. That means your words are not just descriptions of reality. They're tools to create it. What you say becomes what you believe, and what you believe shapes what you do. You need to speak from your future, not your past. Instead of saying, I hope I can be consistent, say, I'm a consistent person. I follow through. Instead of saying, I'm trying to eat better, say, I fuel my body like a high performer. Instead of saying, I'll try to wake up early, say, I'm the kind of person who owns my mornings. You might not fully believe it yet, but that's okay. Speak it anyway. Act it out. Your identity catches up to your actions. Isn't about faking confidence or pretending you're perfect. It's about consciously rewiring your inner voice to align with the identity you're creating. Every time you shift your language, you're cutting ties with self-doubt, insecurity, and weakness. You're planting seeds of the new self. And this doesn't just apply to how you talk to yourself, it applies to how you talk to others too. Speak with clarity. Speak with confidence. Don't downplay your goals or shrink yourself to make others comfortable. Own your ambition. Declare your direction. When someone asks how you're doing, don't default to same old, same old. Tell them you're in a season of transformation. Tell them you're leveling up. Speak from a place of power, not passivity. Thinking like your future self also means being intentional with your thoughts. Every time doubt creeps in, ask yourself, is this thought helping or hurting my progress? Most negative thoughts aren't true. They're just echoes of fear, past failures, or inherited beliefs. Challenge them. Replace them. When you think like someone who's already disciplined, focused, and powerful, you start behaving like them. Even if you're still in the process of becoming. Over time, this shift in language and mindset builds internal alignment, creates coherence between your thoughts, words, and actions. And that's when change becomes inevitable, because now you're not just doing the right things, you're thinking like the right person. You are what you repeatedly say to yourself, so speak like a winner, think like a leader, move like a force. The world will catch up. Excuses are the language of limitation. They are the subtle, seductive stories we tell ourselves to justify why we're not where we want to be. They sound reasonable. They feel valid. But the truth is, excuses are the chains that keep you tied to your old life. You're serious about becoming unrecognizable in 1 week, you must declare war on every excuse you've ever used and commit to eliminating them completely. Excuses don't always scream. Often, they whisper. Show up as, I'm too tired. I don't have time. I don't feel ready. I'll start tomorrow. Or, it's not the right moment. They sound harmless, even logical. Every single one of those phrases is a stall tactic. Your comfort zone's way of protecting itself from disruption. And if you don't cut them at the root, they will keep growing. They will sabotage your consistency, chip away at your self-belief, and ultimately convince you that transformation is for someone else, not you. Excuses are not just lies we tell others, they are the lies we tell ourselves. And they are powerful because they offer emotional relief. They remove the burden of responsibility. They give you permission to stay the same while convincing you that you're still trying. But here's the brutal truth. Every time you make an excuse, you're choosing comfort over growth. You're choosing familiarity over freedom. You're choosing the past over the future. To eliminate excuses, you have to stop negotiating with yourself. You have to make decisions once and honor them always. If you decide to train every morning, don't leave it open to debate when the alarm goes off. If you commit to eating clean, don't entertain the voice that says, one cheat won't hurt. That's how excuses gain power, through small compromises that add up to massive backslides. This is where identity comes into play. You have to decide, are you the kind of person who follows through or the kind who folds under pressure? Are you someone who finds solutions or someone who clings to problems? Are you living a story of empowerment or one of limitation? Every excuse you eliminate reinforces the answer. Practical steps matter too. Prepare for the obstacles that typically spark your excuses. If mornings are hard, prep your clothes and meals the night before. If you're easily distracted, put your phone on airplane mode during your focus time. If your schedule is chaotic, block off time in your calendar for non-negotiables. The goal is to remove the friction that excuses thrive on. But above all, it's about mindset. You have to stop seeing obstacles as permission to quit and start seeing them as opportunities to prove your commitment. Successful people don't have fewer challenges. They just refuse to be ruled by excuses. They expect difficulty and they show up anyway. Eliminating excuses doesn't mean being perfect. It means being relentlessly honest with yourself. When you slip, don't justify it. Correct it. When you feel weak, don't defend it. Counter it with action. When you feel like quitting, remember why you started. You don't need sympathy for your limitations. You need action toward your potential. Once you strip away excuses, you're left with only two things: responsibility and power. And that's when the real transformation begins. At the heart of every transformation, every breakthrough, every success story is a single, unshakable truth. The people who win are the ones who keep showing up. Not when it's easy, not when it's exciting, not when they feel like it, but every single day, no matter what. If you want to become unrecognizable in 1 week, this is the key that unlocks everything else. Relentless consistency. Most people underestimate how powerful it is to simply be consistent. They chase motivation, looking for a spark to keep them going, not realizing that progress doesn't come from intensity. It comes from repetition. Not what you do once in a while that changes you. It's what you do when nobody's watching, when you're tired, when life is chaotic, and when results haven't shown up yet. That's the moment when most people stop. And it's also the moment when the few who keep going begin to separate themselves. They push through resistance. They ignore the excuses. They don't wait for permission. They show up broken, sore, unsure, and still give 100%. That's the mindset that changes your life. Not the perfectionist mindset, but the disciplined mindset. The one that understands showing up is the minimum price for greatness. Means doing the workout even if your legs feel heavy. It means reading the chapter even if your mind is scattered. It means writing the post, making the call, doing the task, especially when your emotions are screaming for comfort. It's not glamorous. It's not Instagrammable. But it is how empires are built. one unskippable day at a time. Consistency is what forges identity. Every time you show up for yourself, you cast a vote for the person you want to become. Is who I am now. And over time, that vote becomes a reality. Your self-image begins to shift. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and start seeing yourself as someone who executes no matter what. This is the difference between temporary motivation and lasting transformation. The world is full of people who started strong and faded out. You hear them talk about their goals, their dreams, their intentions, but you'll rarely see them follow through. Why? Because they only showed up when it felt good. But becoming unrecognizable means crossing that line, doing what's required even when it's inconvenient. Mindset doesn't just change your productivity, it changes your confidence. Every day you follow through builds self-trust. You no longer rely on external validation because you know deep in your bones that you're someone who does the work. That inner certainty becomes your foundation, and from there, nothing can shake you. The truth is, life will never give you the perfect moment. There will always be stress, chaos, fatigue, doubt. If you wait for ideal conditions, you'll wait forever. But if you decide right now, become the kind of person who shows up regardless of conditions, you'll make more progress in a week than most people make in a year. Relentless consistency is your superpower. Not talent, not luck, not genius. The decision to show up again and again and again. So, here's the truth: 1 week is not a lifetime, but it's more than enough to shift your trajectory. It's enough to shock your system, reset your habits, ignite your discipline, and begin a transformation that the world cannot ignore. This isn't about impressing anyone. It's about proving something to yourself, that you are capable of more, that you've barely scratched the surface of your potential, and that the person you've always wanted to be isn't far away. They're one disciplined week away. You don't need permission. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a commitment. 1 week of showing up with everything you've got. 1 week of no excuses, total alignment, full focus. 1 week where you move, eat, think, speak, and act like the upgraded version of yourself. And when that week is done, you won't just be different. You'll be unrecognizable. Now the only question left is, will you do it? Because no one is coming to save you. And no one is going to do it for you. You commit right now, the next 7 days will change your life.